Today on Studio One, texting and driving is hazardous, and now some say texting and walking can be too. Find out why one lawmaker wants to ban using electronics in intersections. Also, many people were interested in the fashions of the recent royal wedding. We'll go to a royal auction that highlighted headgear. And as swimsuit season approaches, many are looking for ways to tone their beach bods, or at least shed a few pounds. In our Studio One Spotlight, we'll go on location with a personal trainer to get some tips.
From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Studio One. I'm Monty Cashel.
And I'm Ashley Tredan.
Well, I can feel the excitement in the studio today.
I know, I can. Everybody's really excited.
Yes, because we have zoo animals here. And they're in the back right now. They're going to be coming out later in the show. We get to play with 3 of them.
Yes, I can't wait to see.
And learn all about them. We've got other things to learn about too today. One of them, the Governor's Highway Safety Association says pedestrian fatalities account for 12% of all traffic deaths. Find out how some states are trying to lower this number.
And people with different personalities often work together, which can lead to difficult situations. A leadership expert is here to discuss some key attributes to becoming a leader in your workplace.
But first, here's today's news with Amy Unruh.
Thanks, Monty and Ashley. In the wake of Osama bin Laden's death, President Obama made a trip to New York City for a wreath-laying ceremony at Ground Zero. Obama says it is a day of triumph, even though we still remember the tragedy on 9/11. The ceremony took into account the thousands of lives that were lost a decade ago. Obama says the death of bin Laden is a turning point in the war on terror. He also says his death sends a message around the world that America means what it says. The president then met with New York firefighters in Midtown Manhattan to express his gratitude. Every spring, when warm weather starts up, so do motorcycles. A new report by the Governor's Highway Safety Association shows motorcycle deaths in the United States have decreased in the past 2 years. Despite this good news, helmet use dropped from 67% of riders in 2009 to 54% in 2010. Rising gas prices may also increase motorcycle use this summer and put more people at risk. The report says states should focus their motorcycle efforts on increasing helmet use, reducing speeding, and providing motorcycle training to everyone.
There's more options for people who are getting into it to take an educational class, learn how to ride a motorcycle. It's a lot different than driving a car.
The Motorcycle Safety Foundation says the decline in motorcycle deaths is promising, but adds much more can be done. No more sitting down on the job. Some Americans are getting to work out while at work with treadmill desks. A study published by the British Journal of Sports Medicine shows walking on a treadmill desk at just 1 mile per hour can burn an additional 150 calories an hour. Companies across the U.S. are adapting to walking workstations. The treadmills have gained a loyal following, and workers even have their own online network called Office Walkers. We have all heard of texting and driving being a hazard, but texting and walking? Pedestrians are preoccupied with technology, and some say it's a danger.
With all the capabilities cell phones offer today, it's no wonder why people tend to be looking down rather than up.
It's not even just texting anymore, Facebook and walking, Twitter and walking.
Texting and walking has become natural for many, but this distraction can cause injuries to pedestrians.
The other day I was texting and walking. I was in between classes and just rushing through, and I accidentally kind of tripped because I didn't watch where I was going.
Psychologists say the human brain can only handle so much information at once. When we focus our attention on one thing, we tend to ignore the other.
You know, if more than one person's talking to you at the same time, that's obnoxious, right? Mm-hmm. Because, you can't concentrate on what both people are saying.
The brain goes through many processes when trying to text and walk. It takes your mind off of your surroundings.
Focusing on a screen on a cell phone while you're texting, thinking of what you're writing, reading a message, your mind is focused on that and not what's going on around you.
Not only is texting and walking a hazard for pedestrians, it can also be a hazard for drivers as well.
Trying to avoid hitting a pedestrian, they could swerve into oncoming traffic.
With the dangers texting and walking create, some people believe that texting should wait for a more opportune time.
I think if whatever you're texting is that important, you shouldn't be walking at the same time.
So if you walk the walk, you might not want to text the text. With photographer Matt Petroviak, I'm Nicole Shotwell, reporting for Studio One.
A New York senator is trying to pass a law that would ban cell phones, music players, and other handheld devices while pedestrians cross the street. The proposed bill has not been considered for a vote in Congress. And that's the news for now. Monty and Ashley?
Thanks, Amy. I'm pretty sure that this generation is going to get carpal tunnel of the thumbs because of this.
I know, because it's always texting or calling or Twittering or Facebooking, and the list goes on and on. Yes. Well, let's head now to Ben Shink for some weather news.
Thanks, Monty and Ashley. Here at the Weather Studio, we're looking at a large tornado outbreak that happened last week, and we're comparing it to what happened in 1974 when a very similar tornado outbreak happened. In 1974, that outbreak was attributed to 148 tornadoes, and with it, there was over 100 deaths as well. Actually, over 300 deaths, approximately 310. Now, these are three of the larger tornadoes that tracked through Alabama in particular back in 1974. And when we look at the tornado outbreak from this year, we're going to see a very similar trend. We see, and this is completely coincidental but interesting nonetheless, very similar tracks going across Alabama here in 2011. Now, down in Tuscaloosa was one of the larger tornadoes, an EF4 that went 80.3 miles and had 59 fatalities. Now, this is a large portion of the total fatalities, as there was only over 340 fatalities recorded with this outbreak for this year. Now, going north to Huntsville, we see one of the even larger tornadoes. One of the two EF5 tornadoes that was part of this system had 132-mile track life going across the corner of the state and had 70 fatalities recorded with this particular EF5 tornado going just north of Huntsville again. Hopefully next week will be a little bit calmer. We're not expecting to see any kind of major outbreak of thunderstorms or tornadoes. In fact, we're expecting to see a little bit warmer temperatures down in the south as they pull up warm air out of the Gulf of Mexico. And the cooler temperatures are expected throughout the north as cooler air is brought down by a high pressure system and a low pressure system that will be in Canada. Precipitation, we're going to see a large impact of the low pressure system right over the Texas Panhandle, bringing wet, moist air up from the Gulf of Mexico into the northern parts of the country, and it's going to be wrapping down dry air down into the southwestern part of the country for that same system. That brings us to our weather question today, which is related to a story we have about sidewalk repairs. And the question is, who is responsible for repairing sidewalks? The county, the city, the neighborhood, or the property owners? I myself don't have a sidewalk in front of my home, so I don't really know. Monty and Ashley?
I myself don't really do much work outside, so I don't really know either, but thank you so much, Ben.
You're welcome.
You're too busy inside texting.
I know, and walking into
the... Sure, but you do walk on sidewalks every once in a while. So it'll be interesting to find out who needs to pay for those. Well, let's turn now to some sports highlights, and no better than David Folsky has a bunch of those for us.
Thanks, Monty and Ashley. Many refer to St. Andrews Golf Course in Scotland as a spiritual home to the sport. St. Andrews has always been a male-only club, but club officials are considering letting women play. Recent statistics show there are nearly 6 million female golfers in the United States alone, more than 20% of the sport's population. Some golf gurus have seen the emergence of females on the scene of the sport.
I think golf has gotten very popular amongst women in the last few years, and I mean it's more of a social event for them, but it's fun having them out here as well.
Because of the United Kingdom's new Equality Act, St. Andrews Club officials have written letters to members in hopes of gaining a popular consensus for female players. It's now time for the Studio One Sports Trivia question: how many MLB teams still use artificial turf? We'll get to the answer later in the show, but that's the sports. Monty and Ashley.
Thanks, David. In a new sci-fi movie, a priest is set to hunt down vampires who kidnapped his niece. We'll preview that movie, Priest, later in the show.
Also, our next guest says to become a good leader, you have to be able to understand people from their standpoint. We'll tell you about some tools you should know to develop your skills. Next.
At the University of North Dakota School of Engineering and Mines, I can experience education that fits my goals.
Become a competitive graduate in a global market and learn in small class sizes where professors are also mentors.
Work in a diverse team and inspire young minds.
Help develop world-class research.
Gain state-of-the-art technical knowledge while building strong business and leadership skills.
And stay connected even after I graduate.
Your future depends on this moment. Take the path that leads to your future.
Studio One is a television show produced by staff and students at the University of North Dakota.
Here you actually get to do your own stories and you get to go out and talk to people and interview and learn about the cameras and everything that goes into like a live television production. I mean, it's incredible.
Give it a try. I mean, even if you're not broadcasting communications major, anything, I mean, it's worth it.
What does cancer look like? What about diabetes, heart disease? Medical laboratory professionals are a vital link in the treatment of disease and maintenance of health. They investigate clues found in the body that will direct patient care. The University of North Dakota's laboratory science programs are some of the most innovative, far-reaching, fully accredited programs in the nation. The UND School of Medicine and Health Sciences can help you become one of the few who see beneath the surface.
You're watching Studio One, news, weather, sports, and entertainment.
Leadership within a business is usually placed on the managers and supervisors. Common problems in workplaces often stem from different communication styles. Leadership facilitator Vicki Simonson is here to discuss strategies to use at your job. Thank you for joining us today. It's a beautiful day outside, so thank you for coming on in.
Thank you.
How do you help businesses with leadership?
One of the very first things I do is I'll interview the top management group and find out exactly what they're hoping to accomplish. Many different businesses have different perspectives they like focused on. So I end up putting together proposals. I work with their management group to find out what are their greatest strengths and what are some opportunities I'd like to focus on. And from that point, I draft a proposal for the leadership curriculum.
For right there. So you take this plan. How do you develop these certain plans for their business?
There's several different ways. The best way is when a company has already an employee satisfaction internal survey as well as customer satisfaction. That's a telling accumulation of information that helps me tailor very appropriately the training itself, and then also it helps me understand what kinds of tools, what kinds of background pieces do I work with that I can customize more effectively for them.
So it's not an all for one kind of plan, there's a customization. Why do you do that?
It's very important that the businesses have the result outcomes that they're looking for. One of the areas I really focus on is return on investment. And soft skills training is very important. In fact, it's fabulous even in the college environment. Actually, I'd like to work with colleges more often to start implementing that kind of leadership curriculum. How do you influence people well? What kind of impact do we have on others, and how do we make sure we lead ourselves and others well, even if we're not in a management capacity? So based on what I know that their outcomes are and what kind of feedback they get, I'm able to put together a proposal. They agree on the proposal. I talk to middle management as well, because it's very important to get their insight, and people who are frontline employees. Buy-in is really important. People need to feel that this is for them. It's helping them accelerate. It's not a way to improve who they are. It's a way to step up and even create more opportunity to have more influence in our workplace.
So it's not always just based on one singular person, it's everybody working together. And I know in your seminars you use a bike to represent the development and the leadership. What does it represent exactly?
Well, I always like to liken leadership as if we're riding a bike through life. The back wheel represents our power and our knowledge base, our education, the experience we bring to our work. The front wheel is how we navigate our day, our situations, how do we avoid potholes, how do we help make sure we work well through difficult situations. And in the business environment as well as in our personal environment, we experience those a lot. So if you have an overdeveloped back wheel, which is something that most businesses and companies and universities are easily able to put into place, that knowledge piece. If you have a very well-developed back wheel and a smaller developed front wheel, what happens when you're riding a bike like that?
It just tips over.
Yeah, there's so much power, you sometimes crash. And so the ability to work in a way that your back wheel and your front wheel skills, your interpersonal skills, are also equally balanced, helps us get through life, through our work environment, personal relationships, school relationships, even more effectively. And that's where the customer interactions come into play too. We call them internal customers, our coworkers, as well as our external customers, those customers we serve every day.
So you have all of this knowledge, and they go through these seminars and they gain knowledge as personal development and for their business. How do you implement these plans?
Typically what I like to do is work with what I call a time-space learning environment. When you go to day-long seminars, many times you go and there's so much information that's very good information that when you get back to your workplace, many times in the stress of our day, we just shelve the information, we forget about it because we're going back to our existing habits. So what I like to do is take the information in like 3-hour increments. We work on a couple of concepts, do a lot of group work within the training environment, within the class itself, do case studies, role-playing, and then there's always homework. People go back to work and they apply and implement the training that they received, and then we come back and report on it the following week or even 2 weeks later. So that not only do they get to learn from the application of the training itself, that the people involved in the class also learn from each other that way too, because there's a lot of best practices that occur. And so as we work with the time space, then I know that things are being implemented and applied well. And then we many times go on for a full year, anywhere from 6 weeks to a full year curriculum.
Well, I feel like there's just so much personal development and business development as well, and you're so knowledgeable. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Coming up, American baseball is more than 100 years old, and now some fields are getting a facelift. We'll tell you how the upgrade affects the game. Also, some wear hats to hide a bad haircut, but some wear them to show off their personality. We'll introduce you to those with an appreciation for the accessory on top.
Studio One closed captioning is underwritten in part by Options, your disability information source.
The University of North Dakota School of Medicine and Health Sciences is meeting the challenge of future healthcare workforce shortages. The state's only medical school produces the highest percentage of graduates nationwide who choose family medicine. Advanced degrees are also offered in basic medical sciences like anatomy and health professions like physical therapy. Students learn and train throughout the state.
In that way, we really are North Dakota.
Make your choice the UND School of Medicine and Health Sciences.
It's not the size of the woman in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the woman.
And now your UND and Me starting lineup.
Laura Slodhog, freshman, dietetics, Thompson, North Dakota.
Luke Warner, junior, commercial aviation from New Braunfels, Texas.
Katie Neal, freshman, biology, Grand Forks, North Dakota. Melanie Haugen, freshman, management, Can-Do, North Dakota.
Be what you want at UND. Go.und.edu.
In the fictional world, humans and vampires have been fighting for centuries. A new horror film brings different meaning to the definition of a priest. The movie Priest is based off a Korean comic. It is set in an alternate world where humanity has been at war with evil vampires. Paul Bettany plays the veteran warrior priest of this cruel conflict. Living with other priests in obscurity, he is soon met with a difficult challenge. Vampires have abducted his niece, and Priest is forced back into fighting once again.
He has to do what is right and what is in his heart.
The inspiration of the story comes from the writings of Min-Woo Young, a critically acclaimed Korean artist. The film is set to be released in 3D on May 6th. Now it's time to look at the events happening in your area. Five decades ago, many wouldn't have been caught leaving the house without it. We attended an auction where a particular wardrobe accessory got top bid.
You get your bidding number. Oh, Phyllis is here. She's waiting.
Spring is the season of rebirth, renewal, and of course, weddings.
The fact that a commoner caught a prince.
The buzz around the royal wedding has left many women hoping for the rebirth of a familiar fashion trend.
Gosh, Julie, that's adorable too. Oh, look at the bow. It's kind of unfortunate that hats aren't popular like they once were.
I think a hat says, hello, here I am. It does.
I have a crazy hat, and it's a spider hat. And it's really neat because the body sits up here and then all the spider legs come down. And I like to wear that for Halloween.
The trend revival proves beneficial to not only hat lovers, but also a small theater.
The topic came up that we have too many hats and that we're going to have to get rid of hats. And kind of came up with this fundraiser idea.
But just like a royal flush, you can't have the royal hat auction without the Queen. With her assistant, the Queen auctioned off hundreds of hats from elegant mink fur to...
Next hat.
A fruit bowl. It's a lovely hat.
I think we would all be very happy if the hat truly made a comeback.
Well, I'm never seen without one unless I'm wearing my crown. So.
The royal wedding may have sparked the revival of an old trend, one that places the hat in its rightful place, on top. With photographer Julie Beck, I'm Tara Peters reporting for Studio One.
The auction raised nearly $1,500, which will go toward new equipment for the theater. Some say former President Kennedy is responsible for the demise of the hat craze in America. He was the first president to stop wearing a hat. Coming up, some say it's bad luck to step on a crack, but this time of year it's almost impossible to miss them. We'll tell you why this happens to sidewalks in the spring, and if you need to fix yours. That story plus news, sports, and weather in the next half hour of Studio One.
Closed captioning for Studio One is underwritten in part by NDAD, helping others to help themselves.
At the University of North Dakota Department of Music, our degrees are as unique as you are. UND's music education and music therapy programs boast a pass rate far above the national average on state and federal certification exams. Find out how the UND Department of Music can uniquely fit you.
What does cancer look like? What about diabetes, heart disease? Medical laboratory professionals are a vital link in the treatment of disease and maintenance of health. They investigate clues found in the body that will direct patient care. The University of North Dakota's laboratory science programs are some of the most innovative, far-reaching, fully accredited programs in the nation. The UND School of Medicine and Health Sciences can help you become one of the few who see beneath the surface.
Some consider graduation the end of the college experience. For others, it's just the beginning.
And the university provided an environment where I could grow.
Many years after I graduated, I'm still receiving dividends from my experience as a student at UND.
The University of North Dakota Alumni Association is committed to growing the university by growing the alumni family.
Your future depends on this moment. Take the path that leads to your future.
From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Welcome back to Studio One.
Thanks for watching today.
So there's a new bill being proposed at in the Minnesota Senate, and it's on the parental consent for minors to have the parents say yes before they can go to a doctor.
Right. Anytime they get any kind of medical attention, they have to get their parents' consent. That's what the law hopes to do.
And so we went out and wanted to know your thoughts on whether the proposed bill should go through.
Yeah, a lot of answers on that one. Also coming up in the next 30 minutes on Studio One, old technology can be toxic. We'll tell you the hard facts about electronic waste.
And in our Studio One Spotlight, we meet with a personal trainer for tips on getting slim and staying trim.
And finally, a trip to the zoo is educational and fun. Today, the zoo is making a trip to Studio One. We will meet and learn about 3 animals. But first, here's today's news with Amy Unruh.
Thanks, Monty and Ashley. Osama bin Laden was not found hiding in a cave, but rather a lavish compound in the suburb of Pakistan's capital city. Abbottabad is a summer resort town less than an hour away from Islamabad. Bin Laden's dwelling was 8 times larger than any other homes in the area. 18-foot walls with barbed wire on top encircled the property. Officials say there was no telephone or internet service connected to the compound. The 3-story home had few windows that faced outside. The Pakistani government says they are in shock that the terrorist was hiding out in a wealthy suburb on their capital city's doorstep. Along with the rising costs of items such as gas and food, a morning favorite of many is also rising in price. The cost of coffee is the highest it has been in 34 years. There are numerous reasons for the Java increase. Unseasonably bad weather in several South American regions that grow coffee beans has affected the price. Experts have estimated the cost of most cups of coffee to be nearly double from a year ago.
You know, even the dollar cup of coffee, I think that's something of the past. It's probably more going to be like $1.50 to $2 cup of coffee, you know, and that's realistic.
Some experts say the price of coffee beans could continue to rise by 40%. That would drive prices to $4 a pound for raw beans. Cartoon characters like the Lucky Charm Leprechaun and Tony the Tiger may soon need to find a new gig. New advertising guidelines from the Obama administration are trying to kick them off unhealthy food packages. The government is urging companies to stop this type of marketing towards kids. The act comes from public pressure saying the industry's self-regulation is not enough. Out with the old and in with the new is something many Americans are doing with constant updates in electronics. It's taking a toll on the environment.
It's a situation many Americans face, buying the latest and greatest gadget only to find that months later it becomes outdated by the newest version. With the rising turnover rate with electronics, the Environmental Protection Agency says the United States generates more electronic waste than any other nation.
It's gone up every year in the last 10 years, and last year we received 12 tons of materials.
With the latest advances in technology, people feel the need to update regularly.
Well, I think people probably do more of that than is really necessary, but it's all a marketing thing. That's how they make their money, is nobody buys anything and hangs on to it anymore.
These old electronics are called e-waste. They take up only about 2% of trash in landfills, but it's about 70% of overall toxic waste.
What we're looking for is to make sure that the lead content in the monitors and there's mercury switches and different things included in the electronics that can be harmful to the environment.
Leray says recycling your e-waste allows old gadgets to be broken down and made into a new product. It also gets rid of any chemicals that can harm the environment.
It could go into the water streams, it goes in the landfills, it's there, buried forever, so anything we can take and help with the environment is good.
The next time your gadget becomes outdated, remember to recycle. I am Kent Lutzen, reporting for Studio One.
The nation now dumps between 300 and 400 million electronic items per year. Less than 20% of that e-waste is recycled. And that's the news for now. Monty and Ashley?
Thanks, Amy. Well, I know certainly the upgrade thing pushes people to get the latest and greatest.
It's always coming out, and it's only a few months apart from the old.
Exactly.
Well, let's go now to Ben Shink for the weather news.
Thanks, Mont and Ashley. The latest but not so greatest news in the country is flooding in the north. Now, we've seen flooding widespread across the northern states. However, especially in Illinois, we're expecting to see some more flooding continuing, in fact. And in fact, the state of Illinois has taken a very drastic measure to try to protect some of their major cities, and they've actually blown up one of their dikes here in Cairo, just north of the border. And this is to help their cities to try to avoid massive flooding in their more heavily populated cities. Now, consequently, this flooding has then expanded across some very large areas of farmlands and damaged thousands of acres of farmland. Now, as we zoom in here to Cairo, Illinois, we're going to be seeing 2 more dikes and levees are expected to be destroyed in the upcoming few days to, again, try to continue that trend and keep that floodwaters away from their cities. In the spring, sidewalks are often cracked by frost, so what do cities do to repair them?
As people come out of hibernation, they head outside to enjoy the first nice days of spring. One popular avenue are the sidewalks and bike paths that thread through cities, but the changing seasons can make for a tough walk.
Normally you see it when it starts thawing. We can get some thaws in the middle of the winter that causes problems.
These problems are uneven and broken sidewalks, annoyances, as well as dangers for walkers, runners, and rollerbladers alike.
Oh, there's tripping hazards. Obviously, that's why they're designed with expansion joints and things, but people really have to watch it in the spring.
Clay-based soils absorb moisture from the ground when it thaws. This causes the soils to expand, which pushes the sidewalks up. Unfortunately, there are a few things that can be done to prevent this.
Unevenness is really no way of doing anything about it unless you're in Florida or someplace where there isn't any frost.
Fortunately, as the warmer weather arrives, the sidewalks usually settle back to normal and fix themselves. With patience, the patrons of the paths will once again have a smooth trail. I'm Matt Sari, reporting for Studio One Weather.
So who does have to repair those sidewalks if they are broken? The answer is actually D. The property owner is the one who has to fix the sidewalks if they're broken outside. Now, my grandparents have a sidewalk in front of their houses, and they recently had to do this themselves, so it's the same pretty much wherever you go.
Wow. So anywhere and anywhere, somebody's going to have to repair their own sidewalk.
It would appear so.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, I know I saw a skateboarder in that video, and I know a busted sidewalk is not a good deal for a skateboard.
Or a rollerblader.
Right. All right. Well, let's go to David Folsky for sports again.
Thanks, Monty and Ashley. Many people think baseball is just a game with bats, balls, and gloves. Some don't think of what's under the player's feet as a crucial part of the game. Like the seasons changing, it happens every year. The grass turns green and baseball season starts. In an area like North Dakota where it can snow any time of the year, it can be hard to go out and play baseball. The University of North Dakota baseball team no longer has to wait for the grass to turn green.
Scheduling, is a big thing. We're able to, dodge some inclement weather. I know obviously if it snows on it, snow gets pretty deep, we're not going to be able to play on it. You couldn't play anywhere.
Field Turf, the makers of the synthetic field, say 25 other Division I schools have the same turf. The university only installed the artificial turf in the infield, leaving the outfield still all natural.
It has been talked about. I know there are some other things that that we have right now that's on the priority list for us, as a baseball program at UND. But I know the outfield has been talked about by a lot of people here in the community.
Coach Dotson says the players who benefit the most from the new infield are the infielders.
Well, the ball stays a lot truer, especially on the turf. You don't see too many bad hops, but there are a couple.
UND is still missing one other major element in their infield: dirt. This dirt-colored turf lessens the chance of a weird hop to a player and may cause an error.
You don't have to worry about like an unexpected bad hop or it's just something weird happening. You know it's going to be where you think it's going to be every time.
While spring may not always come when you want it, now the clang of a bat can. Mother Nature has been still able to interfere with UND's baseball schedule due to various winter storms. The team has had 10 games canceled so far this season. Now, to answer this week's Studio One Sports Trivia question, there are still two fields that use artificial turf, Toronto and Tampa Bay. And that's a sports. Monty and Ashley.
Thanks, David. Intimidation, busyness, or boredom. Many people have reasons why they don't go to the gym. We'll go on location with a personal trainer and learn how to overcome these and more obstacles.
Also, bullying prevention programs have cropped up across the nation. We'll show you an event that brought awareness to a serious problem in a colorful way.
How do we save energy? How does your water get clean? What can fix the flooding? What is biomass? What is carbon? Where does energy come from? How does pollution hurt the earth?
Join over 350 EERC team members to find the answers.
At the University of North Dakota Department of Music, our degrees are as unique as you are. UND's music education and music therapy programs boast a pass rate far above the national average on state and federal certification exams. Find out how the UND Department of Music can uniquely fit you.
Studio One is a television show produced by staff and students at the University of North Dakota. Here you actually get to do your own stories and you get to go out and talk to people and interview and learn about the cameras and everything that goes into like a live television production. I mean, it's incredible.
Give it a try. I mean, even if you're not broadcasting communications major, anything, I mean, it's worth it.
At the University of North Dakota School of Engineering and Mines, I can experience education that fits my goals.
Become a competitive graduate in a global market and learn in small class sizes where professors are also mentors.
Work in a diverse team and inspire young minds.
Help develop world-class research.
Gain state-of-the-art technical knowledge while building strong business and leadership skills.
And stay connected even after I graduate.
You're watching Studio One from the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks.
Most kids experience harassment, abuse, and bullying at some point. One anti-bullying event focused on equality and made a mess in the meantime.
Taking a stand for what you believe in isn't always easy. This group of young people gathered for a specific reason.
My platform is the art of leadership, and it's really all about leading with your goals and dreams in mind.
This event is titled Lead the Love. Organizers added together water, color, and paint to send a message. Some participants have first-hand experience to reflect on.
Bullying's just, it's not fun. I've had it done, I've had people do it to me, and I've done it to some people, and it's not fun.
A UCLA study says bullying not only leaves emotional scars, but affects kids' grades too. The study says 3 out of 4 children say they're bullied, 1 out of 10 every day.
There's still some. There's still people sitting alone at lunch, and it's just, if you're sitting alone, just go, if you're not the one sitting alone, go sit with them. It's a lot easier.
Organizers say the colors of paint signifies different cultures and backgrounds, and that no one should be victims of bullying.
Helps tremendously, because if people are coming to this and just having fun and getting splattered with paint, but then with the cause, it's just a lot better.
I think it's very noble. I mean, trying to take one step forward.
And a step that might make some realize that bullying is much more serious than simple words in the schoolyard. With photographer dog Eric Amdan, I'm Kira Sendrum, reporting for Studio One.
The event was created by 2 high school students. Their goal was to raise awareness and also improve self-confidence among teens. For many parents, protecting their children is a top priority. As kids grow older, it is inevitable that parents begin to make fewer decisions for them. A Senate bill in Minnesota could make drastic changes to a 40-year-old law that allows minors to see a doctor without parental consent. Minnesota would be the only state with this law. We wanted your thoughts on whether minors should get parental consent before they see a doctor.
Something as important as medical care and as personal to an individual should be their choice and their choice alone.
I like that idea, get the parents' permission for anything that a teenager needs to do.
Yeah, if my daughters were going into the doctor, I would want to know why they're going into the doctor.
Kids should get permission from the parents, so the parents will know exactly what the kids are doing and what's going on in their lives.
They don't have an opinion either way on the subject, but I feel that if the kids feel they need to go get tested by the doctor, that they should go and do it for sure.
Until a child is 18 and they're, considered to be legal as far as the law is concerned, it's a very good thing for parents to know what's going on.
A workout routine can be difficult to start for beginners. Studio One's Amy Unruh went to a fitness facility and talked with a personal trainer on how to hit the gym the right way.
I'm here at Center Court Fitness with personal trainer Scott Holm, and he is going to fill us in on how to get ready for summer and get our beach bodies ready. So thank you for helping us out.
You're welcome.
Now, I know it can be hard to get into a routine. How do you find that motivation to just start working out and get on a treadmill or walk around?
The easiest way is just to find something that you enjoy doing, whether it be running, biking, using the elliptical, strength training. Anything that you have some fun doing will help you keep on that schedule and keep you motivated in your exercise program.
Sure. Now what happens if you get into your routine for a little while, you do great at it, and then you stop because you get busy, and then you try to get into it. Can that be healthy for your body?
It can be hard because you can start to see a yo-yo effect in what you're gaining with your training. You can start to see big gains, and then once you stop, you'll lose those gains, and it'll be like starting over from scratch again.
Okay. Now, I know that cardio isn't the only thing you should worry about, so let's head over to the weights.
Sounds good.
So now, with a workout routine, how important are abs?
Abs are very important. They're basically the center of every movement you do. They're important in strength exercises and also cardiovascular exercise. They basically are the start of every other movement you'll do in your exercise program.
Okay, and I know when I work out, I kind of get bored. How can you get out of that boredom?
The best way is just to try different things. Every fitness center has different programs, free programs that you can try. It's just best to expand and try different things and see what you enjoy the most.
Perfect. Well, let's move on to the weight section.
Okay.
In the weight section. This can be a scarier part of a gym for people. So where do you go? Do you have the free weights or do you have the machines?
Yeah, many people are unsure when they first start. Free weights are a great tool, but we always like to have people start at machines. That way your body's in more of a fixed position. It's a little easier to adjust the machine, adjust the weight from there, and that's a good starting point. Free weights are the next step from there, and that'll offer you a few more exercises that you can try and a little more stability and using more muscle fibers as you're performing the exercise.
Sure. And then with the free weights, when you have them, how do you choose what the right size is between bulking up and lean muscle?
With lean muscle, we're working more endurance of the muscle, so we're working higher reps, which would be a lower weight. When we're doing more of the strength and bulking up, we'd be working in a lower rep range, say 8 and below. So we'd want to choose a heavier weight for that one.
Sure, and when you're doing your workout, how important is body structure and position?
Body position is very key. It's a big thing in injury prevention. If we were going to be doing a basic arm curl, I would have you start with your knees nice and bent and relaxed. Shoulders are right over top of the hips, making sure there's no movement in the spine. Head is nice and relaxed. And now from here, we'd start right at the bottom with the arms relaxed and bring them right to the top. and back down, all in one controlled motion. We want to make sure we get the full range of motion.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very much for helping us out today. Hopefully we'll have our beach bodies ready for summer. Reporting from Center Court Fitness, I'm Amy Unruh for Studio One.
Scott says any form of physical fitness can greatly affect your physical health. He says to achieve the best results from a workout routine, incorporate both cardio and strength training. Many children look forward to the sights, sounds, and even the particular smells that belong to the zoo. Today we bring the zoo to you. That's next.
Closed captioning for Studio One is underwritten in part by the Listen Center, where meeting friends at Listen is a groovy thing to do and has been since the days of Woodstock.
Accounting at the University of North Dakota is more than just numbers. It's about maintaining a history of high-quality education and developing leaders in the accounting profession. While numbers stay the same, the UND accounting program continues to evolve. UND hosts one of the country's best accounting programs and now offers a master's degree in accountancy. Accounting at the University of North Dakota. Numbers accelerated.
And now, your UND and Me starting lineup.
Kate Wilson, sophomore, English education, Rochester, Minnesota.
Dalford John, freshman in commercial aviation, Grenada, West Indies.
Jake Baker, sophomore in aviation management and UAS operations, Seattle, Washington.
Sinkeith Slater, senior, sociology, Minot, North Dakota.
Be what you want at UND. Go.und.edu.
Help others live to their full potential. Improve clients' mental and physical well-being. Excel in one of the top healthcare careers of the future. Occupational therapy students at the University of North Dakota experience high-quality education in small classes.
Has to come to 45 degrees, even in a normal motion pattern.
Your healthcare career begins at the University of North Dakota.
Some consider graduation the end of the college experience. For others, it's just the beginning.
And the university provided an environment where I could grow.
And many years after I graduated, I'm still receiving dividends from my experience as a student at UND.
The University of North Dakota Alumni Association is committed to growing the university by growing the alumni family.
Animals generally tend to shy away from audiences, but today they are hanging out at the television center.
And zoo educator Nicole Lee and Lindsay, her handler, have brought 3 of her wildest friends and will tell us a little about each one.
Thank you for joining us today.
Definitely.
So we have a Northern Harrier here today, and what is her name?
Her name is Artemis, and she's named after a mythological goddess of hunting. So,
why is she at the zoo?
She is at the zoo. She came to us, farmer in the area, noticed her in their fields while they were plowing, and thought that she was injured and couldn't fly. And when in fact she was a juvenile that hadn't grown her flight feathers completely yet. So instead of kind of letting nature take its course and just move her off into a sheltered area, he picked her up and moved her and brought her to us.
So I guess that is a little bit of a tip, just to maybe leave animals alone. And
Yep. So she there isn't anything wrong with her. There wasn't anything wrong with her after keeping her and making sure that she was healthy and everything like that. Found that her wings were just fine and she could have been a free bird.
And
but
she is a bird of prey. Explain what a bird of prey is.
Yeah, a bird of prey is basically a bird that hunts and eats other animals. So that's what she does. Her favorite meal are small rodents.
Okay, and you found, this bird was found in a field. Where are they from originally? I mean, what's their area?
They are typical around North Dakota, Minnesota. They definitely are more common around open areas. And instead of perching like a lot of other hawks or falcons do, they tend to hang out on the ground. They're a little more commonly found on the ground.
Okay.
Do they migrate, or do they usually just stay around here?
They will migrate occasionally. If they can find food throughout the winter, then it's not uncommon for them to stay. But they will migrate.
These birds of prey, I mean, you said they tend to stay to the ground. Do they catch their prey differently than most birds of prey, or is it?
They'll soar or hover a little bit. So they'll jump up out of the air and kind of look around on the ground for what they want to eat and kind of zone in on it.
Well, let's get Artemis back in her cage.
All right.
And
Bye.
Lindsay has another animal ready for us. The animals that do come to the zoo, are most of them given to you by people, or do you find animals and then purchase them for the zoo?
Kind of a combination. A lot of the animals we use for education and for stuff like this are animals that people mistakenly decided to have as a pet, and it didn't work out.
Okay.
Or they're injured and they come to us. Most of the animals we have on exhibit are animals that we have received from other zoo facilities.
Look at this little furry guy. What's it? Her name?
His name. This is a chinchilla. This is Buddy, and Buddy is an example of an animal that was kept as a pet and then realized that it was a little too much work to keep as a pet, and so we fortunately at the zoo had a home for
So
him.
they can be kept as pets, and they're out in the wild as well, of course?
Yep.
Where's their habitat?
Their natural habitat is in the Andes Mountains in South America, and they're actually quite rare in the wild. There's very few of them left because they've been hunted for a long time for their fur.
Is that full grown already, or does it get bigger?
He is full grown.
Okay.
They don't get any bigger than this, and they're hunted for their fur, primarily for fur coats.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very soft.
Oh wow.
It takes
so
about
soft, buddy.
takes about 100 of these little guys to make a fur coat.
Wow.
So there's
Oh, we wouldn't do that.
Very
would we?
few of them left in the wild.
Never.
Yeah.
They're small rodents. Do they have defense mechanisms?
Yeah. One thing that their most common defense is to make a lot of noise, and they'll kind of grunt and spit. They'll drop fur if they need to. They have a lot of fur, if you couldn't tell from feeling, but a lot of fur, so they'll drop fur if they're grabbed onto by anything.
Okay. Well, let's move on from the cute to the, well, I don't know if it's considered
Reptile.
cute. Some people might think they're cute. Something with scales instead of fur.
Yeah. What is the name?
This is a Russian sand boa. And if he has a name, I'm not sure of what it is. I don't know.
I know, it's so small. Is it a baby or is this full grown?
This is full grown. Russian sand boas stay fairly small. They maybe get up to possibly 2 feet at the most. So this is normal adult length. They won't get any bigger than this.
Usually when you expect snakes, you expect this giant thing to come out. So exactly what does this little guy eat?
This little guy, he eats small rodents. Believe it or not.
Wow.
Snakes can usually eat something about twice the size of their head because of the way their jaws are put together. They can kind of detach their jaws. They're not fused together like humans are.
Okay.
So
And so you called it a boa. Is it a constrictor? Does it?
It is.
Okay.
Yes. It's one of the smaller type of boas, obviously, as you were mentioning. Smaller type of boa, not venomous, doesn't have any venom, so it does constrict its food in order to.
But your hand
kill
is
it.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so they don't bite you.
He could. He has the teeth, but yeah, he's obviously not going to be able to do a whole lot of damage.
All right.
So, and he's used to being handled.
Nicole, thanks so much for coming again. We love it when you bring your animals here. And Lindsay, thanks for coming as well. We appreciate it. You're watching Studio One from the University of North Dakota. We'll be back right after this.
What does cancer look like? What about diabetes, heart disease? Medical laboratory professionals are a vital link in the treatment of disease and maintenance of health. They investigate clues found in the body that will direct patient care. The University of North Dakota's laboratory science programs are some of the most innovative, far-reaching, fully accredited programs in the nation. The UND School of Medicine and Health Sciences can help you become one of the few who see beneath the surface.
Studio One is a television show produced by staff and students at the University of North Dakota. Here you actually get to do your own stories and you get to go out and talk to people and interview and learn about the cameras and everything that goes into like a live television production. I mean, it's incredible.
Give it a try. I mean, even if you're not broadcasting communications major, anything, I mean, it's worth it.
Help others live to their full potential. Improve clients' mental and physical well-being. Excel in one of the top healthcare careers of the future. Occupational therapy students at the University of North Dakota experience high-quality education in small classes.
Now to come to 45 degrees, even in a normal motion pattern.
Your healthcare career begins at the University of North Dakota.
The University of North Dakota School of Medicine and Health Sciences is meeting the challenge of future healthcare workforce shortages. The state's only medical school produces the highest percentage of graduates nationwide who choose family medicine. Advanced degrees are also offered in basic medical sciences like anatomy and health professions like physical therapy. Students learn and train throughout the state.
In that way, we really are North Dakota.
Make your choice the UND School of Medicine and Health Sciences.
How do we save energy? How does your water get clean? What can fix the flooding? What is biomass? What is carbon? Where does energy come from? How does pollution hurt the earth?
Join over 350 EERC team members to find the answers.
Thank you for joining us at Studio One. Our show will be taking a break over the summer months, but we'll be back again in the fall.
And we're going to leave you now with pictures of our cast and crew. From all of us here at Studio One, have a great summer.